Go ahead and call to order the Rockdale Planning and Zoning meeting of Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026. And that doesn't sound right to be saying 2026. February, amen. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chair Williams.
Here.
Vice Chair Ratliff. Here. Commissioner Miles.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Houston.
Here.
Commissioner Higdon.
Here.
That's it.
We have a quorum. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You would bow your heads with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather here to discuss city business. We pray that you guide us through our decision-making process to make the right decisions and to keep making the city a better place to live. As you watch over and protect each and every one of our citizens, and we thank you for this day. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Be seated. Do we have any citizens' communications?
No, sir.
No citizens' communications. We're going to receive a presentation about the last council meeting.
All right. There wasn't too much on the last council meeting regarding Planning and Zoning Commission. I did want to give an update on a couple items that we'll go over. The first was, if you recall, we had a ordinance amendment to the vacant commercial structures. It was really minor. I mean, it was just really correction of grammatical inconsistencies. Geez. But the major change was there's two different stipulations on when letters were supposed to go out. There was one that said no later than January 31st that they had to have their payment in, and then the other one said they had 90 days. So it was just, you chose one or the other. We kept the 90 days in there, and we removed the specific date. Outside of that,
Was that also the first reading of the? It was the annexation
Yes.
first, and then it was a
yes.
rezone. Yeah.
So the annexation was the first item on their agenda that they looked at. They approved the first reading of that because it's also an ordinance, and then they saw the zoning piece, and they've approved that with conditions that there would be a town hall, which happened last night. There was some, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was 4 citizens there.
Yeah, they picked
they
up
had a
one.
packed
They had
house.
3 that came here were also at council.
Yes,
and they
and so
picked up one.
yeah, so there was 4 there. They did. They had 3 minutes to speak at the MDD workshop, and they said their piece, as well as the. Who else was there? The county judge was there.
Yes.
Judge Whitmire and.
There were several members. There were actually several members of the the MDD that spoke at the workshop, and one of the MDD board members actually lives out in that area, and they all spoke very favorably of the recommendation to move forward, or their request to rezone the land that they've requested for annexation.
So in that discussion, there was items brought up about potentially trying to do landscape barriers, which is something that we've always done or have always pushed for with any heavier commercial use compared to if it's close to residential. And that won't change for this one. The MDDs expressed that they want to do everything that they can to make this as light of a change as possible for the residents in that area.
On that note, they even scheduled a town hall meeting, but because of the ice storm.
Well, that's so it got moved to yesterday. That's what we're referring to. So yesterday, that it was originally last week on Monday. The ice storm happened, so they had to move it to yesterday, and that's when we conducted that workshop over there. The last item is a home program. Just in case you know, I'm sure you're all aware of the home program by now, but that's the program that's offered through the state that allows for a home to be built for free for residents that qualify. They just have to live there for 5 years, and it's theirs. And so we went back out because you have to keep applying for that funding. So that's what this was. We're now finishing up that paperwork, and hopefully we'll be getting that into them soon, so that way we can secure funding for the upcoming year.
And you said you had how many possibilities for this year?
So the funding that we have through the budget is we can do 4 a year, because there's a city match as well, and then the state will fund the rest of it. Our match and our budget would allow for about 4, and then we have a little room for any extra costs, because every once in a while we'll have to actually plat one instead of just doing surveys. So sometimes there's a little bit extra cost than what we're expecting. So it'd be 4 a budget cycle. So there's already, I believe, 4 lined up to start soon, and then the intention is to hopefully get 4 at the end of the year. We wouldn't typically do that, and I haven't really talked to Tim about this, but the home program might be going through some changes that aren't beneficial as it is now.
Funding is potentially being let from the federal level.
So we're trying to get as much done as we can. without knowing what will happen. Nothing may change. I mean, it might stay the same, but we just want to be as prepared as possible. With that, that is your council presentation. Unless you have any questions about the council meeting in January.
Questions on the presentation? We'll move to workshop. Number 2, conduct a workshop regarding the capital improvement projects CIP funding recommendations.
Okay, so there should be a sheet in your packet. So if you can recall, you've graded all the failing streets and then you tasked me with grading the rest of them. And I tried to use the same scale as the commission did, and the rankings came out to what's in your packet. And this is what I would recommend moving forward with as a guide for council through your recommendation that's required by charter, and then the council can decide on this priority level what makes the most sense funding-wise of what's grouped together. I asked Shannon to pull up a map. I've created a map for GIS just for our visual learners and then I'm sure council will find it useful of where some streets are that line up together that might make the most sense. So that way you're not mobilizing on this street and you're only doing a couple blocks and then you're going all the way across town and doing another couple blocks. It's typically cheaper to do something in the same area if you can. And so as she pulls that up, I wanted you to look at this list first off, make sure you're comfortable with it. If there's any questions on how the scoring happened, I had the spreadsheet of why I scored things a certain way. The one I wanted to talk about that I know I mentioned a couple of times is Redbud. We talked about Redbud a lot, about how important that street is. And the reason it didn't come out as number 1, I imagine, is mostly because of your traffic count. Is going to be the reason it scored probably, yeah, it's the highest local street that you have, Redbud is, by far, but it scored under your collectors because there's a lot less traffic on a local road compared to collector roads. So I didn't know if you wanted to bump that up or if you're comfortable with it at number 5. And I will say this, just because it's number 5 doesn't mean it doesn't make sense to do it this year.
That's actually tied for number 5, right?
Right, so there's ties. There's ties in the list.
You have East Dalton and Murray that were tied for first. So you have East Dalton, Murray, Houston, Westbrook, and then Rockdale Road before Redbud.
So, detention of the map, just in case for color coding reasons, the red is the streets that are in disrepair, the orange is your poor, yellow is average, blue is good, and green is excellent. And they're by the 100 block basis, not by the road overall. So that way you have a visual representation when you're trying to determine where you want to go and what you want to do. And then again, as streets are updated, this map will be updated, and the scoring sheets will be updated, so.
Redbud needs to have its own special color on them.
Yeah. So this can be as detailed as a presentation as you want. You know, I'll just say I have the scoring for each street if you want to go over it. I have the cost for each 100 block if you want to go over that. The cost of the road overall if you do it, all in tables. I mean, there's about 7 spreadsheets for this thing, and I don't want to feed you too much information that you don't need, but just know it's there if you need it.
You did a nice job, Ben.
For the people that are number impaired, the graphics and stuff are pretty interesting to look at. Kind of eye-opening. We kind of got I kind of got caught up on it as we were doing it street by street by street, and you lose track of the numbers. But then when you move it to the next page, or back a page, I think, Shanna. But especially when you start seeing numbers like Murray, it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, and Murray is one of your collectors. I mean, so, you know, your collectors you'll never do all in 1 year unless you just get a grant that would allow you to do that, which would be unlikely. Those are, you know, those will happen over time. You know, you typically would do an area, so say you're maybe in the 500 block of Murray, maybe you do the 500 block of Murray, and then you do some of Brandon's in that area. I mean, you do something like that. You wouldn't typically just say, we're only doing Murray this year, we're not touching anybody else's street. You'll accompany a couple of streets in there with them. We can pull that spreadsheet if we need. I think Murray, it starts at the 500 block, and I believe it goes to like the 2200 block. Something like that. It's somewhere around that range.
So like from Meadow to all the way down, or?
Murray?
Yeah.
Murray's at the Scarborough. Is that Scarborough? Yeah, Scarborough is the start of it, and then it goes all the way to Calhoun.
Yeah, what I'm saying, the 500 block is gonna be down to the.
It'd be all the way east.
All the way east of Meadow.
So yes. 500 block is the furthest east point of Murray, I believe.
Okay.
And then it counts up as you go west.
And it dead ends, is that correct?
Well, it tees into Calhoun, and then it also tees into Scarborough.
Were there any surprises in this? I know you did. Kudos to you and Barbara for the work you did prior to us having to do it. And were there any surprises to you in any of it so far?
I didn't have any surprises. What I will say is I'm trying to think how to word this. Not all of your collectors ended up at the top, because when I was starting this project, I would think that you would start with the collectors just from the point of view of that's the most trafficked roads, but I understand the cases like Redbud that just absolutely should see a higher priority, not even considering the traffic element, just the pure condition of that road, just basic
And
road
that's
repair.
kind of in line with what I was thinking, that if we hadn't been under the master plan, if we were on our own heading that direction, that's where I would have started. Let's start with the most traveled roads, the biggest bang for the
Right.
buck.
Because I know the commission talked, when we were talking about corridors, I know we expressed how important it was that we wanted to see Murray repaired, especially around the school areas, which it scored high, as I kind of expected. There wasn't really a surprise to me outside of I didn't understand street pricing until I did all these numbers. And I mean, you're looking at a very long-term project, but that's the intent of streets. You're never going to have them. Not every street's going to be excellent at the same time, right? It's just a rotation of you're going to repair and repair, and as you repair, there's going to be more repairs. The intention of these grants that Tim's getting is to catch us back up to the curve, so that way we can be back on track on getting these streets repaired and keeping a system going is what this intention is that you graded them, now you created the system, and the city will take it from here with the council's recommendations for CIP funding, keep getting these streets improved. You'll update the scoring, or staff will update the scoring, and it's just a continual cycle.
So the council hasn't received this yet.
No, so this is going to be your recommendation on how you want this listing to be. They'll then review that and then make their determination on what they actually want to do with the CIP funding. But since the charter calls for you to make that recommendation, that's why we've been doing these workshops, so that way you have a fair assessment of what the streets actually are before you make that recommendation.
So this is all the streets in the city.
This is all the streets. I do want to highlight too, so when I was creating the map on that page,
You can
I
move-
left off
Anna, you can move to the next page.
I left off 2 streets. So I just want to tell you where they fell. So one of them was Francine Drive. I don't know how I missed Francine Drive. It ended up being tied for number 16. So if you want to mark that down, and because I found that out on Monday, so your packets are already out, so I couldn't get it in your packets. So Francine tied for 16. I also forgot Willow Lane, which is right next to Francine. So I don't know what I was doing when I was in that area. That tied for number 25.
25?
25 for Willow, 16 for Francine. I think I hit everything else when I was looking at this map.
Willow Oak,
Willow.
Drive.
Willow Drive.
No, Willow's a lane, I believe,
Or
and then
lane.
Francine's a drive. Those are the only 2 I noticed that I missed. And I've updated the spreadsheets, and they're all in the cost estimates now. Everything's all up to date, but it just wasn't in your report that you got because the packet was already out.
How did you manage to get all the W's in on number 25?
Just happened to be
That's
that
almost
way.
all of it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go at 28, all the B's. I'm starting to see a trend here. So, game plan.
So the hopes is for you to look at this. If there's anything that you'd like to see moved, we can move it at this time under y'all's recommendation. And then let's get something final to council, so that way they have a listing of what you think the street priority should be, and then they can take it from there.
So what my goal would be to have council say, these are the top, 10 streets that we do in this order, and then we'll figure out how much we can do with the $500,000 we have budgeted, and we'll get those out to bid, and get those street funding.
But that's on council. That we're,
Yes, so basically, it will be, what you're making a you're making a recommendation of what if this is the order that you all agree with, or if you want to rearrange these based on, the fact that Redbud, I think is your top street, that from a scoring standpoint, you can, this is, generally gives the order based on the scoring criteria. You can mix, I would recommend moving a 3 down to the 20s, or a 20 up to the, top 5. But if you want to make some minor adjustments based on the fact that you did your scoring, if you realize you did that scoring over about a 6 weeks period, and generally when you score stuff and you look at the beginning, you're kind of conservative, and then you score stuff at the end, you may be less inclined to, your scoring in your mind changes, especially when it's spread over a period of time. That's why I would say it'd be a good idea to take a final look at this.
say your recommendation again that you want to present.
So this is the list of streets based on the scoring criteria that have been assigned. for
Correct,
This whole exercise. So what I'm asking is, if you can confirm that this number, this is your recommendation as far as the priority of the streets, or if you want to make any final adjustments now, and at the end, after you've done all the streets, you come back and you can adjust your recommendations how you see fit.
And since this is going to council, you're going to need a recommendation, so we're going to have
So I
to.
need recommendation, and then when we take it to council, I'm going to be asking council to take your recommendation and then actually vote on the streets, say the top 5 or 10 streets that we can undertake with $500,000 this year, and we'll put those out for bid. And then next year we'll do the same exercise. We'll take and get the amount that we can spend, let's say $500,000, and get those done.
So-
The year after that.
Are there any in the top 10 that we had notes by about like drainage or anything like that?
No. But just know that so the whole exercise, I have all of your notes attached to the score sheet. And so when council gets it, council is going to get all the information, unfortunately, and they'll have to cipher through what they want out of it, and those notes will be in there.
I have a question. On these sheets here, it basically looks like it lists every other street. There wasn't room to put every street in there. Is there any way we can find out? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I have it in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
So you can make it larger to however big you need it. I just had to fit it on a word. Right.
Is it important enough to include a line item on our survey with drainage? A notation anywheres or a line item or importance or?
Well, so when you're doing a
Some
street
streets
repair,
like Meadow Drive carry a lot more water than other streets. Do we need to include that in our survey?
not on our end, no,
Okay.
because that's just a design element, right? So when someone bids out that street, and if there's if drainage needs to be upgraded or repaired, whatever's going on that street, that would be something that they would put in their bid. That's not something that,
They're not just gonna put it back the same.
right? If there's a known issue, I mean, we'll warn them about it. So we'll talk about Jackson Street, where we're talking about all that water just held right there. That's something we know about. We would tell them. But as professionals, they should also be able to understand when they see a street with a problem. I mean, we talked about the crown of the road. If you know that street's going to hold water, they're not going to, as a professional, they should not repair that incorrectly.
Well, the street I was thinking about is like San Jacinto that actually has a subgrade drainage. I don't know if you were here when we were finding basketballs and all kinds of stuff when they ran the scope through there. And I just thought, I don't want to leave something out for future commissioners or whatever, but
When we go out for bid,
yeah.
we will actually put together specifications on all the work that needs to be done to that street that we're getting solicited bids for. And so that will all take place during that process.
Anything you take off my plate, I'm happy with. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm gonna need to, well, let me stop. Any questions on where we're at so far? Anything to add? Anything?
Is there any changes that this would be the time to,
Say again?
any changes to this particular list that you want to make now that you've done all the streets to kind of go around and finally finesse finally finesse the list?
Well, I'm a little torn on that. I understand it. It's like we did a lot of work to get them lined up like that, but other than like the redbud, the obvious ones, but,
Well, I mean, and individual members may have opinions, but
Yeah.
the fact is, like I said, this was over a long period of time in your scoring. May have been different at the beginning than at the end, so.
Being that they will, go off of their recommendations at the council, and they'll look at the money deal to see where they wanna put anything, I think this will be fine, because even if we move some stuff around, it varies on how much they plan on spending and all that, so they'll move it around themselves anyways, I think.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it looks good. I think we did a pretty good job of like the main
Okay.
collectors and everything being towards the top.
but this is not an action item. It's just a workshop.
It is an action item.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
Make a
so-
recommendation.
so
You're-
move this
I'll
document.
make that recommendation.
I suckered you in on that
Forward
one.
to the council.
I second it.
We have a motion to accept the listing, send it on to council. I have a second. All those in favor, right hand. Motion made, motion seconded, motion carries. Now that brings us back to actual action items. Number 3, consider and take any necessary action on electing planning and zoning commission officers. There are currently 2 positions. We have chairman and we have pro temp.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. Well, I'm not gonna be here, so you're gonna be. Anyway, I'll open it up for discussion.
For nominations?
Whichever way you wanna go.
Well, I'd like to nominate Charles.
For,
Vice Chair.
oh, no.
For everything? Not everything.
Where you going?
I'll second that.
Charles,
Thinking.
are you available?
I second.
Where are you going? That's my question.
You done with this?
Anyway, for which office? Which position? Did you say?
Either or, if we chair or vice chair.
Charles,
we're
you've
gonna
been,
need a
you've been
vice chair.
elected for a chair. Which one do you want?
Wait, I'm confused. We need both.
Trying to see
Wait.
where.
Yes, you're doing both.
Are you staying?
Yeah, you're not getting an answer. Yeah, he ain't saying anything.
I'm confused
I'm a
because,
total politic.
Okay, who's staying?
are you staying? That's the question.
One more term. I'll stay one more term, I guess. I'm available for a chair.
Are you staying?
I'm here. Yeah.
All right, what was the motion?
Well, you had Charles for something, and you haven't decided what.
It's because it sounded unsure because I wasn't sure about.
Well, unless Doug leaves us early, you have another year.
Yeah, I'm not on this roll off.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I was trying to pick up. Was this
Some-
somebody? I didn't get the.
Yeah,
But that doesn't mean I can stay on commission. I don't have to stay on commission as chair. Let me
That's
try
right.
to clear it all up.
That's right. He's
We're
not going
trying to
anywhere.
fill 2 positions for
Oh.
2026.
may I just have that motion dropped and keep Doug Williams as chair is my recommendation?
Yeah,
Since the motion, so here's the new motion. You said you want,
Doug Williams as chair of the P&C Commission.
okay, I'll second Doug Williams as chair for the PNC.
motion made, motion seconded. All those in favor, right hand.
Motion to raise vote.
That leaves vice.
Motion that Jones stays at.
He learned not to be silent. We have a motion to keep Joan as vice chair. Did you say a second? We have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor, keeping Joan as vice chair? Yeah. Well, that was a unanimous decision. All right, then. We'll have Doug Williams as chairperson, and Joan as vice. All right.
Thank you for staying.
I'm glad y'all are both staying.
Get up to speed, kids. Get up to speed. Yeah. I can stay on board now. I don't have to be chair. I just want to go to, well, it's too late. We voted. Consider and take any necessary action on setting the meeting time for the Planning and Zoning Commission. The current time is the first Tuesday of every month at 1:30. Discussion.
We didn't have any citizens communications on this.
Oh, we had citizens communications, but I'm not gonna repeat them here. At both our meeting and at city council.
City council, I hadn't had a chance to watch it.
I had to go to the podium and give them my thoughts. Anyway,
Does any other time work for your city staff?
No, and I would say if this is good for you, it's also good for staff. I mean, it is not uncommon for planning commission to meet during the day. Half the cities that I work for, that's been the case. Sometimes they meet in the evening, but generally that's based on when the availability of the commission is set up. If there are special issues, that doesn't mean, we've had a planning commission meeting, a special meeting we've had during the evening. So you can also do that if there are specific issues that you think are very, generate a lot of interest, we can have it during the evening.
should we also include, this is the regular scheduled one that we're talking about right now, but we have regular, here lately, secondary workshops.
Right.
So do we discuss that separately, or do we clear one hurdle and take on the next, or do we want to morph them together?
Well, I would just take action on your regular meeting, because the workshops you're having regularly, you'll have more breaks now since we're done with this project that we're working on. And that can be as, kind of like as Tim was saying, as an as needed. If you need to do it a special time, you can. If you want to do it at 1:30, you can. But the real important one is your regular meeting times.
And for the workshops, if we're having an additional meeting, we all tend to agree on it. We discuss and
Right.
agree on the time and date. Are y'all okay with this time and date? Is that, I am,
Sometimes if
I'm in the middle of a job, I can't leave it. So
right.
That's the only problem. But it's usually.
You're in the middle of that. What?
Somebody make me a motion.
I'll make a motion that we keep it at 1:30.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, right hand. Motion made and seconded and carries to keep the regular schedule or the regular monthly meeting at 1:30 on the first Tuesday of the month. Action item number 5, review and approve the minutes from the meeting on January 6, 2026, which is the second tab back. Second tab back. Once you've had time to read it, let me have a motion, please. Is there a problem I'm not aware of?
Oh, I'd leave early, so.
I saw Higdon leaves in there. I didn't want to bring it to the public's attention.
I wasn't here, so I think it should come from.
Oh, that's, guess what? It narrows it down.
I don't think I was here for that meeting.
You don't have to have been present to make a motion on the meeting.
Oh, okay, well, then I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. Seems right based on watching the recording.
Motion made to approve the minutes. Second. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, and carries to approve the minutes. Number 6, receive the monthly code enforcement report.
Okay, we are in January of 2026, but if you remember, code enforcement doesn't go by calendar year, it goes by fiscal, so that means we're really in our 4th month. With that being said, we're in the slow time for code enforcement. This is the time that we'll focus on vacant commercial structures and other items, not necessarily high grass and trash. But we still do our rounds, and we did have a couple of violations. I think we had 3 trash and debris cases this month, which brings our total to 8. Still, grass isn't growing, so we're down to 1 on that, and then the 13 other violations that remain the same from the previous. With the breakdown, 16 of those have been complied and completed with. 1 is in court, and then 5 remain open with active plans. 2 of those aren't of the 3 new ones that you might note, and the reason that they're open and not in court is due to not knowing who the owner is. And so we have to go through special procedures of, one of them is another case, so it's no permits were pulled for moving in mobile homes. And so I have to find the owner of the actual company, which I haven't been able to find yet, to put them into court, which is why it remains open. And then the other one is a owner that I cannot locate as far as getting mail to them. And so I'm holding on to it because we're going to abate that property with some of the ones when high grass season comes back around. So that way we can jumble them together and save some money for the city instead of paying the contractor to go out there and do that and then have them go back out again later on.
So you know the owner is just,
I believe I know who the owner is. Well, let me put it this way. The owner that I know of is dead, and so you can't put someone that's deceased in court. I believe I know who it was deeded down to, but I cannot find how to get a hold of them for the court's sake.
can you tell us what property it is?
I'll look at my sheet and I'll let you know,
Okay.
because I don't remember the address, but I know what the violation is.
From our side, we have permits in place about moving in.
Right, so you're required a moving permit when you move in manufactured housing. This is at Los Robles, and they moved in about 5 or 6 units in
Wow, we're
23.
not talking about somebody in the middle of the night. This is
And they attempted to pull permits. They just never paid for them. So, anyways, I've tried to work with them for a couple of years. It's just gotten to the point where I can't get a response from anybody, so I've moved forward with going to put them in court. I just got to find who I actually am supposed to be putting in court.
okay. That clears up a lot.
Yeah,
right
because
there.
so the municipal court system, for those that don't know, when there's a company, you can't put the company in. You have to put the person that owns the company. And sometimes it's really hard to find who owns the company. That's where we're at. I just wanted to
What is
clarify.
that permit fee? What is the cost?
Oh, I don't remember what it was in 23. If it was $75 or $50, something
6
like
cents,
that.
75? Is that what
Yeah,
you-
$50 to $75, something like that
Yeah.
is what each one would have been. But I wanted to clarify that way, so the numbers, they may not add up. Like what's going on. That's where we're at with why there's 2 open still. Anyways, going to the year to month comparison, so that way kind of the trends of what code enforcement is doing in January. In 2024, we were extremely busy. We had 28 cases. Then 2025, we only had 1, and then this year we've had 3. So 24 was a little bit of an anomaly. For whatever reason, there's 25 trash cases. I don't remember what was going on in January 2024 to have that many trash cases. There was 2 high grasses and 1 other that year, which brings your total to 28. And then in 25, you had 1 trash case, and then in 26, you had 3.
We didn't make any kind of change in our.
No.
Bulk trash may be helping.
Bulk trash is helping a lot. I will say that is a very nice thing that they do. And I will also say that I've noticed as my time here doing code enforcement, the numbers were extremely high when we started doing proactive code enforcement because it's something new to your residents that they're not used to. They then learn the rules and they start to comply. And so you see your numbers go down. So I've always said low numbers is really a good thing when you look at it because it means you have a lot of compliance as long as you're doing code enforcement, which we are. I mean, low numbers could mean that you're not doing code enforcement, but we are doing code enforcement. It's low numbers mean your city is complying for the most part of what we're looking at. And then typically when that starts to happen, you'll start looking at the more of your property maintenance code. Instead of just high grass and trash, you'll start to look at the maintenance of fences, roof repairs, things like that the maintenance code requires.
I got a real left-wing question for you. Home construction permits pulled, do they get reported to the tax board or anything?
So for new home construction, the people that so it's a multitude of answers I'm going to give you. The first is there's an estimate cost that's asked of us. We give those to some newspapers that have requested, like Temple Newspaper is one of them. Every once in a while, the appraisal office will call us and request a listing, and we'll give it to them. But for new homes specifically, I have a report that I do every month to the census that tells them how many new homes are in the community, what type of house are they single family, duplex, triplex, so on, and then what the cost of them are. So that way, as they're preparing the census, they can tell you if you're growing or not.
Thank you.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it does.
As far as the last part of the report, you asked me to tell you what's in court actively. So we had 2. One remains open with unauthorized land use on Ford. The difficulty with that one is it's a little bit harder to abate because it's someone that's essentially living in an RV on a piece of property. It's not like we can just go cut their grass and bill them for it. And then the other one is a trash and debris case at the abandoned nursing home on FM 47. They're in court for multiple things. One of the things I want to talk about is vacant commercial structures ordinance. That's going out again this year. We received about 50% compliance. I think I was telling y'all that we only had like 2 comply. But they went to court. Now we're about at 50%. And then I'll be working with Tim on a couple that we need to discuss that didn't quite go our way. And then we need to discuss how we want to move forward with it.
I had a question. Living in an RV, does that fall under substandard or?
Well, it's a zoning violation. So living in an RV requires you to live in an RV park by the ordinances that the city council adopted. And so when someone lives in an RV and they're not in an RV park, then you're violating the zoning ordinance. So it'd be a city ordinance violation for the municipal court system. Is how that would work. And so you can park an RV on your property. You just cannot hook it up to the water system or the electrical system, and you can't live in it.
How do you determine if someone's living in it or?
It's very hard to determine that, and I'll be honest with you, the city doesn't usually go after someone for living in an RV. We typically will go with the stance of parking it, because a lot of people get into violation of, what a lot of people do, they'll park their RV on an unimproved property, so there's no home there. There's another part of your ordinance that says you can't park an RV for more than 72 hours on unimproved property. That's the route that we'll go, so we'll take pictures every day to show you that you're past the 72 hours and you're in violation.
And an obvious one if they have electrical
Right.
or water connection.
If they keep it connected, then you're obvious as well, especially when you have water usage. That's another way. But there's been a couple that are hard to tell, and so I did not take it from they're living in it route. I took it that it's parked there, and it's got to move.
Any other questions on the monthly code enforcement report? Or are you complete?
I'm complete, unless y'all have any questions.
No questions, we'll move along. Oh, we gotta accept it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the report.
Motion made and seconded that we accept the report. Those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, carries. Number 7, receive the monthly Development Services Department report.
Okay, so building permits do go by calendar year. That's why you'll see on your table when we get to it that there's only 1 column right now. But as far as the permits that were issued, so far or for the month really, it's over. We've issued 4 building permits, 2 electrical permits, 1 HVAC, and 3 plumbing permits. In those building permits, none of them were new homes this month. But you did get about $138,000 invested in your community through all of them were smaller projects such as re-roofs or small remodels.
No, they didn't pull in any permits for new construction.
No new homes were pulled for the month of January. So I'm expecting to see February is usually the month where they'll start to kick off back at Cornerstone again.
That's
It'll go till about June, July. But as the month has just started, I haven't received any permits yet for February. I can just tell you that now. But I'm expecting that on that report, you'll at least see some on there. The only other thing that I'll point out is that we did have 2 pre-development meetings last month, which one of them was on the west side of town, and they had a general idea of what they want to do, and then the other one was just more of a meeting to discuss potential properties in Rockdale for development.
Has there been any motion on the school land swap?
Not until they
Did you-
confirm,
Okay.
finalize their part of the deal.
So on the east side, on the west side, residential development, he has submitted a proposed development agreement that we are reviewing. We're going to have the team together that includes P3, our bond counsel, and financial advisor, meet with them, and Ben and Public Works, and probably Jim Gibson to have a kind of a kickoff meeting for that, and work through that. That'll probably go to council for the development agreement in March, if it's ready. If it's not, then it might be a special meeting in March or maybe in April. And then at some point after that, it'll come back to the Plan Commission for potential zoning for a PUD. So
Has that land sold, do you know?
they won't close on the property until after they have the development agreement.
Because I saw some markers out there like surveyed, but
Yeah,
the
so
for sale sign's still up, so I just.
They have it under contract, and they had some Southwest Milam lines marked location.
Out of intermediate.
The land surrounding the intermediate school. It's called do we say the project name yet, or we hold till we have that next meeting?
Rockdale Ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rockdale.
Republic or Rockdale?
Rockdale Ridge is the name of that one. It's confusing because we did this, the one over on Texas Street was Republic Ridge.
Okay, yeah.
They're close.
Yeah, sorry.
That
I
was
was,
not done or
They're looking for a builder.
looking for a builder.
Yes. And then you could see it again if they find a builder that doesn't like how the lot's laid out.
so it's, doesn't have a lot of traction, but the motor's running.
The motor is running. I got a call from the developer mid-January, and I asked him about it, and he said that there's a couple that are interested and they're mulling over if they want to take that project over, and if the 30-foot lots work. I told him, I said that you guys would be happy to see them turn into 40 lots instead of 30s if they would do that, and so
Yes.
he was fine with that. But he just said there's a couple in the works. He didn't tell me who they were. But yes, you have a Republic Ridge, you have a Rockdale Ridge potentially.
Okay, does that complete your report?
Unless you have any questions.
Questions on the monthly development services report? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the monthly development services report.
A second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the report. All those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, carries. Thank you, Ben. Department head. All right. I don't know which clock to use. I'm going to go ahead and say it's 2:20. That concludes the February 3rd meeting of the Rockdale Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you for attending.